1 month ago, I called Paul Watson, and I got all my reporters in a room, and I said, here's a UN and here's a CDC report, and here are major medical journals saying Ebola was confirmed to be somewhat airborne 2 years ago in 2012, and it's clearly mutated. Here are the mainstream documents on that. And it is replicating and spreading at 10 times the previous worst outbreak 6 years ago. I said, I'm no medical doctor or virologist, but I'm reading what all the top ones say as an analyst. This is going to be a gigantic outbreak on top of what's already happened, and it's clearly somewhat airborne. It's gestating longer. And we were attacked, let me not exaggerate, a month ago. Let me not exaggerate, by tens of thousands of publications. AP attacked us, others did. That was in thousands of publications alone. You can type in Infowars.com Ebola and see the stuff from a month ago. Paul Watson's doing a video on it. He's doing a report on it. We're going to do a special report Sunday because it's not about defending Infowars. It's about understanding how propaganda works. We presented documents. We presented fact. We tried to warn people. And we said it may not end up, infecting the rest of the world, but it is going to ravage Africa. You know what the headline today is on Drudge from the New York Times? So now the New York Times said it. It's true. Just like the New York Times, 3 weeks after we proved with video and the city manager of Kingsville, of McAllen, and video where the Border Patrol told us to go, our ICE whistleblower, we went and showed the Border Patrol loading them on buses and giving them vouchers, the illegals. We broke that. And we were attacked. People said it wasn't true. And we took the mainline documentation and we put it in articles and it went viral, pun intended. And then we got attacked. Just like they said 3 years ago we were lying, there were no domestic surveillance drones, even though we were covering local newspaper articles. Just like they said there were no death panels in Obamacare. Just like they said that we weren't funding Al-Qaeda in Syria, and now it's admitted. The truth is, my show is not radical. I get radically upset. I try to get people to wake up. I jump around naturally because I'm upset. That's not a manipulation that I get up here and get upset, but it works because people are in a coma. And it's time for folks out there to get out of their comfort zones and realize we're in danger. And here's the headline out of the New York Times, what we're afraid to say about Ebola. And then they talk to the virologist and the World Health Organization, and they say it's going airborne. There you go. So we're going to have Paul Watson and my reporters put together articles showing the videos and the articles where we said this 1 month ago and were attacked. There it is, August 4th, 2014, Paul Joseph Watson. And let's scroll back down. He wrote that 2 days after I told him to. Let's go back to the top. CDC concerned about airborne transmission of Ebola virus. Federal agency directs airline staff to prevent spread of infectious material through the air. Obama then signed an executive order saying for any respiratory illness you can be detained. And the media said, oh, well, that was just a reissuance of Bush's order. But it expanded it to any respiratory problem, not just specific known pathogens. So we broke it. We were right. It's confirmed. It was confirmed then. We're going to break it all down because now they're saying it's uncontainable. Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. We've got the life straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand-cranked shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com. A month ago, or back on August 4th, Paul Watson wrote the article because I called my reporters in and I called him on the phone. He's in England. We're here in Austin, Texas. And I said, hey, I've got a stack of government reports, CDC, UN, World Health Organization reports. I've got mainline medical journals, 2012, saying that clearly monkeys to pigs in African studies has been transferring the virus through the air. And I said, I want articles written about this. So Watson did write an article, and for TV viewers, we'll put that article up on screen. Also, print me another copy of that, guys. Thank you. CDC concerned about airborne transmission of Ebola virus. Federal agency directs airline staff to prevent spread of infectious material through the air. Now, Drudge carried links at the time to the actual studies. But Drudge also linked to some of our articles at Infowars.com. Then, literally thousands of publications, AP, you name it, which is then in tens of thousands of publications, when AP puts it out, came out and said, there is no airborne Ebola, everything's fine, don't listen to Alex Jones, don't listen to Matt Drudge, when all we were doing was writing articles or linking to articles that had been written 2 years ago in prestigious scientific virology publications about the fact that it was becoming airborne. Not super airborne, where it drifts around like anthrax in the air and can live for years, but airborne enough that if it gets in spit or mucus, it can float through the air and you can get it. And now it takes weeks to show up, so it spreads because it doesn't get identified. And there is the myth article, the most destructive myths about Ebola virus debunked. Ebola virus is airborne, waterborne, or spreads through casual contact. That was in the Huffington Post. And they and many others attacked us in a whole bunch of stories. But look at Drudge being irresponsible. Look at Alex Jones. Look at InfoWars. They're fear-mongering and saying it's mutating and saying that it's becoming airborne. We didn't say that. InfoWars wrote articles linking to the mainline medical studies. And clearly, Ebola is more aggressive now. At the time, it was already 10 times a month ago, back on August 4th, over a month ago, 10 times the previous number of people getting infected at the rate it was. Now it's way over that. There's almost 3,000 dead right now. There's over 250 mutations they've confirmed as it spreads across Africa. And the media has been whitewashing it. I remember numbers 2 years ago that there were more than 200,000 rebels attacking the Assad regime, and that most of them were al-Qaeda affiliated. 65% was the number the media put out. It's more like 95% now, we know. Today I saw an article, the CIA says there's thousands and thousands and thousands. Why? 13,000 ISIS people in Syria. 13,000. There were hundreds of thousands, and then half of them or so went into Iraq. The other half have stayed in Syria to loot. They ran out of stuff to loot in Syria, so they went into Iraq. I mean, it's just constant whitewashing. Now, here's the headline today. Doc warns of airborne Ebola. And it's not Infowars.com. It's the precious New York Times. And here is the story. Here are some of the headlines. Ebola is devouring everything in its path. Could it lead to Liberia's collapse? Washington Post. The Daily Beast. Ebola's terrifying evolution. I thought it wasn't evolving. I thought I was a liar. Ebola virus. Biological war in Liberia. BBC. Ebola outpaces global response. World Health Organization says New York Times. And here's the New York Times article where they basically break down the fact that it's starting to go airborne. It's not crawling now, it's starting to walk. And then if it runs, it'll turn into the Flash. And remember what Dr. Pianka at the biology department at UT, the eugenicist, said about how soon the airborne Ebola would come and wipe the earth clean of the human scourge, and that he and his family were ready to die. I made a film about it. It's called End Game. End Game. Blueprint for global enslavement. 3 hours long, 30 minutes of it. It's really 3 or 4 films, but 30 minutes of it, it has chapters, is on airborne Ebola. So I made the film 8 years ago. It's evergreen. For the folks who don't know what that means it gets more alive and doesn't die and gets more important, that film. FBI comes out. Synthetic biological could reduce our population. Synthetic biology is being quietly inserted into the food supply. I was so concerned, and to give them credit, the FBI was so concerned by Endgame, they went and interviewed Pianka. Then he was on the news and went, I don't want anybody to die, man. They came to him and they said, you're over the biology department, and some of your graduate students have responded to Mr. Jones. We have their open letters here saying that all humans need to die. Do you have any knowledge of anyone in a lab with access to deadly biologicals that might be considering using them? Now that's a normal behavior of the FBI. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, when you got people over biology departments talking about stuff, talking about how wonderful it's going to be when everybody dies, you need to go visit them. And they did go visit them because I guess they love their children. I'll guarantee you, though, they got reprimanded. Little Bird told me they got called off that real quick. So that's what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. It's 12 monkeys for real. So, New York Times, what we're afraid to say about Ebola. Do I get apologies from MSNBC and the Associated Press and all these countless publications that came out? Fact check. You know, they had NBC affiliates and you name it with their fact check segments in D.C. and TV reports. Why? Fact check, the crazy conspiracy theory site claims Obama signed an executive order to detain anyone with a respiratory illness, and it's because of Ebola. And they claim Ebola could be going airborne. Well, this is just false. They show no proof. They just say, I'm lying. Well, Paul Watson's article linked to the CDC statements and to the studies 2 years ago. I mean, we didn't write all this. The CDC did. I mean, I hope this is all hype. I hope. But let me tell you, you tell that to the 20-something thousand people that have got Ebola, the almost 3,000 that we know have died, they're saying those numbers are whitewash. It's much worse. You tell that when the head of the World Health Organization's virology department comes out and says 100,000 will have it in Africa by December, and now they've got other virologists saying 5 million will die. I don't know. But I know the Black Plague killed at least a third of Europe, an estimated 10 million. Back at the time, when there was only 30 million people in all of Europe. Those are estimate numbers. Some say as high as half. I just say a third. It's a low number. I go with the low number. I know the swine flu killed tens of millions in 1918. I don't know. There's the Washington Post. 100,000 cases? See, they're already saying it could be 100,000. 20,000 or 100,000. That's the headline. See? We were very conservative, but we were first. We pointed out the analysis, and the establishment media said, why, you can't do that. InfoWars is incredible. Drudge is incredible. Because they wanted to whitewash what was going on, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to flashback Paul Watson's article to Infowars.com. And if anybody wants to go back to my reports, August 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, where I tried to make a point about its viral spread and got attacked, it's right there. Because just remember, folks, in a kingdom of lies, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. We'll be right back.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
informed everybody that they were going to put armored vehicles on the streets and were federalizing police and we're going to use Homeland Security against conservatives, libertarians, gun owners, and veterans. It broke here 6 years ago with the secret documents that I received by the state police in Missouri and a federal marshal from California. I can say that now in both cases because one of them is retired and the other state police officer did not get in trouble, even though they were able to discover that he had sent it. In fact, he got promoted after getting in trouble. That's another thing. Everybody that's so scared of being a whistleblower, people end up admiring that. That's why we need more people to stand up and tell the truth. But now it's mainstream news that Homeland Security is treasonously pointed at the American people. Look at this article from yesterday. Adon Salazar wrote it. When I saw this, I couldn't believe it, and I went and watched the local newscast. Firefighters ordered to remove American flag stickers days before 9/11 off their private lockers, and the fire chief said it would be offensive to other firefighters who weren't Americans. Marywood firefighters were disciplined. Hughes, Rozak, and Cerulo, and one other were all put on leave, unpaid leave, sent home because they refused to take the little American flag stickers off of their lockers because they had been told they were offensive. There's your political correctness, ladies and gentlemen. You can't have an American flag on your locker, but you can demonize the Founding Fathers in Army training manuals. It's just bizarro land. Our government openly is funding Al-Qaeda, calling it ISIS, and is now going to give billions, not 500 million, to them, and Congress is about to give the money to Obama to then go arm the rebels that are attacking Assad, who are made up mainly of the Saudi Arabian, Qatari jihadis. And I've had former State Department officials on, CIA operatives from the Army on, colonels, generals, or they're all on record saying that, yes, the main force is Al-Qaeda. And we defeat them by arming them. That's how stupid they think everyone is. And we dared back in early August to beat the drum for a week. Because I said, I want to focus on Ebola going airborne, according to the CDC and the World Health Organization, and that they think it's going to go really airborne because it's airborne somewhat now, but it's weak. But it's becoming airborne. They believe it's becoming airborne. And then we get attacked for that we're fearmongers. No, we're not. We link to the CDC documents. We link to the virology reports. We link to it. We didn't say it. It's like when the New York Times calls Matt Drudge a tabloid person when he links to the New York Times. And he links to Der Spiegel. We're just linking to the reports. InfoWars takes them and writes an article around it. Oh, and here's 7 reports that it appears Ebola is going airborne 2 years ago. Now it's spreading. This top virologist says he thinks it'll kill 5 million people. There's been estimates, you can pull them up, of 3 billion dying if Ebola goes completely airborne. Meaning, floating around for hours or days or even weeks. You can have anthrax in the ground for 50 years and it gets out. I don't know. But now the New York Times today says what we're afraid to say about Ebola. And then it goes into the fact that it's turning into an epidemic, a pandemic, that nothing's happened like this in decades anywhere in the world, and that scientists and doctors believe that it may be beginning to go airborne. And it says that right here in the article. And Drudge has the headline, Doc warns of airborne Ebola. So that's what's in the New York Times today. Do I get an apology from any of these publications? No, of course not. Here's another headline. Black market in blood serum emerging amid Ebola outbreak. And then we have the graphs on the spread of it and the British study, the London Telegraph. Millions more at risk for Ebola outbreak, British study finds. They have computers tracking the spread so far, and it's estimating millions are going to get it, basically. And when we come back, Virologist, it's too late. Ebola will kill 5 million. Expert says virus will infect entire population of African countries. Paul Joseph Watson reporting for Infowars.com in that article. Well, it's certainly an exciting time to be alive. Look at this headline. Border breakdown, militia to block ports of entry. That's out of KRGV News. We're going to be breaking that down. Doc warns of airborne Ebola in the New York Times. So it's true when they say it, but when we say it a month ago, then it's attacked nationwide, even though we're linking to the exact same statements. Another story up on Drudge, Mad Science, genetically modified microhumans to be framed or to be farmed for drug testing by 2017. Folks, that's already going on where they grow the little embryos but then add some animal DNA to it, so they claim it's not a human and doesn't have rights. Mad Science, genetically modified microhumans to be farmed for drug testing by 2017. So we're going to look at this article and then go to our guest, Syrian girl, reporting from Australia on her inside scoop. She's been joining us for over a year on what's really happening in Syria and Obama's statements. But before we go any further and finish up with this article, Virologist, it's too late. Ebola will kill 5 million people. Expert says virus will infect entire population of African countries. And the London Telegraph is saying their models, British models, show millions will be infected. A top German virologist has caused shockwaves by asserting that it's too late to halt the spread of Ebola in Sierra Leone and Liberia, and that 5 million people will die, noting that efforts should now be focused on stopping the transmission of the virus to other countries. Jonas Schmidt of the Bernhard Institute for Tropical Medicine in Hamburg, one of the most prestigious in the world, told Germany's Deutsche Welle, that's one of their top publications, that hope is all but lost for the inhabitants of Sierra Leone. Well, yeah, their leader said they're preparing to collapse, and that'll kill a lot of people in and of itself. And Liberia, and that the virus will only burn itself out when it has infected the entire population and killed 5 million people, close quote. The right time to get this epidemic under control in these countries has been missed, said Schmidt. The time was in May and June. Now it's too late. I would expect to have the Washington Post, New York Times come out and say that we made all this up and we're not linking to the main German publications. But this is being said. I was hoping it was hype a few months ago. I said that on August 4th when Paul Watson wrote the article about virologists worried it's gone airborne. And we said, hey, we hope this is, gets contained. But it was already 10 times what any previous Ebola outbreak had been. Something happened, folks. We went and investigated. There it was in the medical literature that they believe it was going airborne. It's starting to walk. It's not, it was crawling, then walking. If it starts running, they're saying there's 200 mutations of it now. Before there was only a few dozen mutations. It's going crazy. It's been manipulated clearly. It may mutate and burn itself out. I don't know. I'm not a virologist, but I do the research. We've been proven right yet again. What am I doing? I'm getting my guts cleaned out, taking oxy powder from InfoWarsLife.com. I'm taking nascent iodine X2 to clear out my bloodstream. I am taking colloidal silver, but not just for the Ebola, even though they brought Ebola patients now, a fourth one to Atlanta. I'm doing this because there's a bunch of weird airborne stuff killing people in hospitals all over the country, including 3 members of my family. There's all sorts of flesh-eating bacteria now. This stuff's all coming at once, where the mutations and the toxic genetic manipulation, all of it is starting to come to a new flashpoint. And we see times in history where you won't just get Black Plague popping up, you'll get something else popping up at the same time. I got scared this year when my uncle, my great uncle, and my cousin all died in East Texas from the same mystery illness that the hospital doctors told us was scaring them and killing members of the staff. And everybody knows around the office, I've been doing everything I can, from working out more to drinking more water to going to sleep earlier, having my kids do it, because I'm getting ready for this winter. I'm getting ready, folks. Just like in the old times, they said, don't go outside with your shoes off, you'll catch your death or whatever. All they knew was you went out and got cold, it would lower your immune system. I mean, it's time to really try to get healthy. And yes, we sell products that aren't silver bullets, pun intended, with the silver bullet colloidal silver we have, but are obviously better across the board to boost your immune system and to try to get sunlight, try to drink purified water, InfoWarsLife.com. Now, we're going to go to Syrian Girl here in just a moment. But before we do that, I saw Weldon Henson and I saw Jakari Jackson. Weldon Henson runs the shipping department and a lot of the marketing stuff, does a great job. And, of course, Jakari's one of our great reporters and investigative journalists. But they just so happen to both be wearing what I believe is the best Second Amendment shirt ever made. The last one I had the concept for and that Cade designed, our great graphics guy, was the best at that point in my view. And a lot of people agreed it was our best seller. This one is even better. You got to go to InfoWarsStore.com to see it. It says Molon Labe with an American flag draped downwards in gray with the bronze gold 300 Spartan helmet with 250 caliber, 2-scale bullets crossed with 1776 and Infowars.com under it with a Special Forces style gray American flag on the left arm. And let's cut to Jakari Jackson and Weldon Henson, because I just haven't taken one of these home yet in 2 weeks and washed it and worn it yet. I wore a sports jacket on air, but I'm going to be wearing one of these. This, I believe, is the best Second Amendment shirt I've ever seen. Now, tastes differ. I didn't tell you guys what I was about to do. I just said I want people to see the shirts watching on television. Radio listeners go to InfoWarsStore.com and they can link through and see it there and see the back of the shirt. I don't know if it's your favorite ever. I just noticed you're both wearing them today. What do you think of this shirt, Jakari?
I really like the last one, but this one, I think you, like I said, you stepped it up a notch. The flag in the background definitely helps. And, you know, people get it. You know, they see the image, the iconography. It's a very powerful image, a very simple image that people can get and understand. And it's a very attractive shirt. I was actually wearing this at a restaurant just a few minutes ago, and the guy came up to me and just started talking to me, you know, because he recognized the shirt. He thought it was an interesting shirt, and we had a conversation because of this. This is also a conversation piece.
It's awesome. And we're lucky that Jakari and Weldon look like Calvin Klein models. So I'm going to go take some photos for the website to promote it if you guys feel like it, because those shirts are awesome. I wish I looked that good in them. Weldon, give us your take on the shirt here. This is, again, just off the cuff. This is how we fund our operation.
This is for sure going to be the best one we've ever had. We just got this in the store last week. We designed it. Took a little longer than the other ones. We knew you liked the 50 cal. That's one of your favorite guns, Alex, so we put the 50 cal bullets on it. And we're excited to put this one out. I think everyone's going to really like it. So,
well, by concept, I'm like, I want an American flag on the arm, and I want some bullets crossed under it with it looking face forward. And then Cade really designed it. He is so good.
I think this one really has kind of a Special Forces feel to it. It's going to be a great one, part of our Made in 1776 product line. This is made in America. The shirt's made in America. All the graphics were printed right here in America. So support the InfoWar. That's another good point. And we also hire veterans. You're an Air Force veteran. That's right. Yourself, we got Joe Biggs. I always hear the media saying how horrible veterans are to hire, and people are scared. My best crew are veterans. I just don't understand it. Yeah, we got a few of us here. We need to get some more. Of course, Jakari is a veteran of the InfoWar, getting shot at with Biggs and all that up in Ferguson. Well, again, what's the name of the shirt? It's the Molon Labe 50 cal? I call this the 50 cal shirt. Yeah, we're calling it the 50 cal tee. Jakari, anything else? Sorry to drag you in here.
Oh, no, it's great. Like, we were actually about to go do a photo shoot because the guys recognize it's a good shirt. And everybody.
I didn't even realize that. See, okay, now I'm... Yeah. I wonder you're both walking around in it.
That wasn't planned. That just really happened because I was over here near this radio studio, and Alex saw me with the shirt on. He said, hey, come in here and show off the new shirt, the new hat. We got all the gear. We have the belt buckles, all this at InfoWarsShop.com.
And that's how we fund the InfoWar, not taking tax money like Rachel Maddow.
You know, people need to keep checking back. We've got a lot more American-made products coming in. Molon Labe hats. We got the beanies that just went up. Of course, Jakari's got one.
Yeah, we sold out of the Molon Labe brass, but we didn't fully print the whole number we were. We printed 250 instead of 500 of the brass one. So we have another 250 coming, and then they're gone. Yeah, that's what we did. Those just came in. The last 250 of the brass Molon Labe buckles. You know, we kind of overwhelmed the manufacturer because they do make them handmade here in America. Veteran-owned.
And they are veteran-owned, yes. And actually, people need to, you know, keep checking back because we got a lot more stuff coming up before the holidays.
That's right. I mean, we are just working as hard as we can to have everything made in America. We're working, and we're not perfect. Like the dash cams are made in China, but that's why they're so inexpensive and work so well. We have the lowest price on the dash cam and it's private labeled to InfoWars. Lowest price you'll find, lower than Amazon.
Absolutely.
So there is stuff from China, but we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're moving towards American-made. And, I mean, a normal American-made golf shirt would be $60 to $80. We have it for $40. It costs us like $25 a piece.
It's absolutely true.
We could buy the same golf shirt from China for $5.
When we started moving most of our products over to American-made, we definitely saw a price increase. So we're hoping to change that. You know, we need to support more American-made manufacturers. And
that'll drive down the price once it moves back here.
Absolutely.
Well, it's all the regulations and red tape. You can't compete.
That's right.
It's done by design. So we do have shirts from Mexico and Honduras and stuff that are half the price. If you make the choice to get them, then you spread the word that way. But
we do offer American-made ones now, and more to come.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you.
Hey, real quick, Jakari and Weldon, what do you make of, like, top virologists saying 5 million will die now in Africa? I mean, this is crazy.
Well, you know, when we first started talking about this, you know, months ago, you know, is scare tactics, fear mongering, and all this. But we were just looking at the tail of the tape. We were looking at what these top experts were saying, the people who study this, the people who live this information day in and day out. And like you said, you know, we research it, but we talk to the people who, you know, live it. And they say, you know, this is definitely a concern. People coming in, like you said, the people going into Atlanta, other places as well. And people want to find out, you know, what's going on. At least I want to find out what's going on because I don't want to get caught with, you know, my pants down, so to speak. We have this big epidemic and now it's like, oh, oops, sorry. We start bringing people in. You didn't know about it. And now it's here.
I think the key is for everyone to stay informed and be prepared. And, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. We need, you know, people need to focus on that kind of stuff, being prepared and educated on
Exactly. We're not fear-mongering. We're cutting edge, raising the alarm like Paul Revere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like when we went out to Ferguson, like, oh, you guys are fear-mongering. The police aren't out there doing this. Like, police are out there putting sniper dots on people's chest. You know, that's not fear-mongering. That's telling people what's going on. And, you know, there's plenty of good police out there, but you don't want to see these kind of tactics.
Well, then the feds blamed them when they gave them the training.
Oh yeah, they gave them the big tanks, they gave them the training, the MRAP vehicles, the heavy armor.
That was federal training to put the laser on you.
Yeah, and then they say, oh, we gave it to them, but we didn't know they were going to do it.
The sound cannons.
Oh yeah, and they said, well, you're not supposed to use it for peaceful protesters. That's for like an active shooter situation. They give them the stuff knowing how they're going to use it, and then when they use it, like, oh, shame on you for using it that way.
They send them to federal training centers and train them.
Oh yeah,
it's all standardized. The uniform is a federal grant. The training is a federal grant. All of it's federal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and it's such a joke because we were out there in Ferguson, and the only report I regret we didn't do was to show how close the Martial Law Center was to the where the things were taking place on West Florissant Street. It was right down the street.
Well, we got Scottish John coming up at about 15 after. We're going to have our next guest until 15 after next hour because I'm going to her late, but I drug you guys in here to discuss all this. Great job, gentlemen. And it's the Molon Labe 50 cal shirt at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And we are listener-supported, unlike NPR and MSNBC that get stimulus money and taxpayer money. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Visit InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.